All right, so what we're going to do today is literal equations, and literal equations just mean we're going to have lots of variables. You guys see that it's pretty much all variables, and we're going to single out one of those variables. We're going to solve it just like normal. There's nothing any different. The ones that we really, really, really want to focus on are these down here where we solve for y. So we're going to start with the ones that kind of matter, but they don't. But then we're going to end up with the ones that absolutely will matter in the end, okay? Everybody got it? So your homework is like 5 questions of the ones on top, and then 5 questions at the bottom, okay? So there we go. Yeah, and that'll just keep converting while you're doing this soon. Yep. All right, so it says solve for the indicated variable. In this case, the first one is asking you to solve for t. Solve for t. So what you need to ask yourself is kind of what's going on in this equation. If you have variables side by side, like I, R, T, like these are, what operation is going on between them? Multiplication, right? How do we get rid of multiplication? We divide. Is everybody good with that part? What are we trying to get rid of? If we want T, what are we trying to get rid of? So we're going to get rid of that. How do we get rid of it? We divide it out because we do the offset. So we're going to do it all at the same time because they're both multiplication. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So these two will cancel out just like it does before. We left ourselves with T, and then we just rewrite what's on this side. P over IR. It's not complicated, okay? It's not. Don't stress out about it at all. Number 2 is exactly the same way. If we look at L, W, and H, they're all side by side, which means we're doing what operation? Multiply. What's the opposite of multiply? I only want the W. So what do I need to get rid of? So I divide both at the same time because they're all being multiplied together. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So on the right side, that'll cancel out that L and H, which leaves us with this, that W. And then we write down the other side, V over LH. That's your final answer. If you ever take chemistry or physics, maybe some physical science, you might have to do some of this. So you'll see it again, but we don't typically worry about isolating a variable. We just kind of plug in and solve as it is, okay? So that's why these top ones are kind of, you may do it and you may not. But on the bottom, you definitely have to know how to solve for y. The same steps over and over again, okay? Look at number 3. This one has a number, and it has r squared, and it has this h. We're trying to solve, sorry, I highlighted the wrong h. I'm trying to solve for this h right here. If these things are side by side, 4, r squared, and h, what's the operation that we're doing? If they're side by side, multiply. Same thing as always, right? We just got a number this time instead of variables. We want to solve for h. To get rid of multiply, we divide. We want to get rid of the 4 and the r squared. What we do to one side, we have to do the other. This is the same as the last 2 problems. We just have a 4 and an r squared instead. That leaves h by itself, and then we write down how we solved it. We did a divided by 4 r squared. That's it. I'm going to move down to number 5 because it looks exactly the same as those. Number 4 and number 6 are a little bit different. So I'm going to go to number 5. Even though we have the 1/3, we have an x, a y, a z squared. They're all side by side, which means what operation are we using? Multiply. We're trying to get the x by itself. So how do we get rid of a multiply? And what are the parts that we don't want? Y. That z squared. What else do we not want? The 1/3. So all of that's going to go underneath. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So 1/3 y z squared. They all cancel out. So that means we got that x by itself, and then we just write down what we did. Forget that 5, that's the question. Okay. So we had w on top. We divided by 1/3 yz squared. Any questions? Everybody okay so far? All right. So number 4 and number 6, we're going to go back to when we were solving equations, and I'm going to ask you those questions. What are we solving for? What's on the same side but not with it? How do we get rid of it? That's how you do these. They're real simple. All right. So we're trying to solve for W. What's on the same side as W but not with it? 2L. It's a positive 2L. How do I get rid of positive 2L? Negative 2L or subtract 2L. Perfect. So then that'll cancel it out on that right side. We write what we see. P minus 2L equals 2W. I still need to get W by itself. How do I get rid of that 2? Oh, look at it. If it were 2x, how would I get rid of the 2? Divide it. That's the one we're having trouble with a little bit. So be careful on that. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Remember, if they're side by side, we're multiplying. We're going to mark out that 2, which leaves us with W, and we're going to write the other side down. P minus 2L over 2. How many of these problems have I done without doing any work? I had to show work, right? I might have made that question a little bit confusing. Right, it's not that much, but I've had to write it down, right? If you guys need paper, get that paper out. Today, you might need that, all right? So be ready for that when you get to your quiz assignment today, all right? Your homework assignment. Look at the next one. We want to solve for x. Treat it just like anything else. What is on the same side as x, but not with it? Remember, our numerator has to stay together, so the y is with x. So what do I need to get rid of? And what are we doing in this? We're dividing 3, so how do I get rid of divide 3? Multiply. What I do to one side, I do to the other. If you need to mark that out to get it out of the way, you can. Your 3's will cancel out, and then you're left with x plus y equals 12 times 3 is 36. Perfect. I'm still trying to solve for x. What do I need to get rid of? How do I get rid of plus y? Perfect. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And then I just rewrite it. I got x by itself, and then what do I see over here? 36, and we subtracted y. That's it. That's it. Watch your signs on these. All right, so literally we only have 6 more. This is all we're doing today, okay? We only have 6 more. Solving for y, everybody gets confused, but it's the same steps over and over and over again. Got it? It's the same exact steps. Here are your 2 steps. Your first step is move x. That's either add x or subtract x. So whatever that number is with x, you're going to add it or subtract it based on what it's got. So move it. The second thing you're going to do is if there is a number with y. If there's a number with y, you're going to divide by that number. So I say divide y. Move x, divide y. There's your 2 steps. So if we look at this first one, it says 3x plus 2y equals 4. We want to get y by itself. You will be doing this pretty much the rest of the year. Okay, so that's why this one's important. The top, you're going to have 5 questions on it, a couple on your test, and then we're probably not ever doing it again. Okay, but on this one, you're going to use it the rest of the year. Right? So we need to solve for y. What's on the same side as y, but not with it? How do we move the 3x? Remember, I told you it's either add or subtract. It's a positive, so we subtract 3x. So there's your move x. Every time you're going to move x. Here's what I want you to start doing. We're going to bring down this positive 2y, but I always want you to write the x first, okay? So always write the x first. So this is a negative 3 or a minus 3x. And then this is a positive 4. So we're going to write plus 4. Always write the x first. That'll help us in our next unit, okay? Write that x first. Last step, I said divide by y. We got to get rid of the 2. How do we get rid of the 2? We divide, but please make sure you divide everything by 2. We're going to split it up, okay? Divide each one by 2. Then our y is the same, so it's all by itself. And we write what we see. Simplify if you can. You can't simplify negative 3/2, so it's negative 3/2 x. What is 4 divided by 2? So we simplified that. That's it, guys. Move x, divide by y. So number 2, we're going to try to solve for this y right here. What's on the same side but not with it? The x. You guys see how it's always move x first. So how do we move? A positive 5x minus 5x. And remember, that's always going to be a plus or a minus. Plus or a minus. What I do to one side, I do to the other. This one is a positive 4y, so I'm just bringing down that 4y. What do I need to make sure I do on this side? What comes first? What I tell you to write first on this side? Do I write the 8 first or the negative 5x first? Negative 5x. So negative 5x comes first, and then it's a positive 8. Positive 8. What is our last step? Step number 2 is divide y. What are we dividing? Everything by 4. Everything. That gets your y by itself. This won't simplify. Here's another way that you can tell, just in case you don't know what simplify means or you're not very good at reducing those fractions. If you put it in your calculator, negative 5/4, and you do math, enter. I've told you about this a couple times to turn it to a fraction. Math, enter. And it stays the same. It stayed 5/4. It won't. It's not reducible. So that's how you know. So can I reduce it or not? This one is a no. What about 8/4? If I do math, enter, what does it reduce to? 2. We already knew it by our head, but again, if you need to check it, go ahead and check it. This is our equation. Okay, so if you get some big numbers you're not sure about, your calculator will come in handy. All right, same thing on number 3. Trying to get this y by itself. What do I need to do first? Do we add?
No.
Why do we subtract it? Already positive. Yep. So we're going to subtract it. No worries. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Now this one's different, not in the way that you work it. It's different because you need to wait and see that negative 2. Make sure you bring down that minus sign with that 2. That's the only difference, okay? What do we write first on this side? Negative 5x. And then what do we have on top of that? So write a negative 10 or a minus 10. Perfect. You do the same step. How do I get y by itself now? We're still dividing, but this time it's just by a negative. That's all. All right. So say you get here and you're like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what negative 5 divided by negative 2 is. To reduce it, math, enter. What's the only thing that changed? Negative over a negative makes a positive. That's the only thing that changed. But your calculator will do that for you. So use it if you need to. Don't feel bad. I don't care if you use it to do 1 plus 1. I'm not going to know. You're sitting there by yourself. So nobody cares. Okay? Don't stress out. I'm going to put in a minus 10 or a negative 10 divided by negative 2. And I'm going to check that one out. And what do I get? Positive 5. So I'm going to put a plus 5. That's it. Same steps over and over again. And if you can't reduce, use your calculator. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Okay? Don't stress out. Don't feel like you're dumb. I use my calculator all the time, and I've taught math for years and years and years, and I'm old, just saying. Okay? Everybody good? All right, look at your next one. Solving for y again. 3 more, guys, and we'll be done. 3 more. What do I move first? How do I move the 7x? A negative. Perfect. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Your 7x's cancel out. This one's a positive 3 that I'm going to bring down. And what do I write first on the other side? Make sure you bring the negative with it. Negative 7x. And it's a positive or plus 15. Very good. Watch those signs. Those signs will kill you on these. So watch them. Last step, what do I do? Divide everything by 3. So I get y equals, I'm not sure if that negative 7 over 3 reduces. So I'm going to try it, math, enter. And I still get negative 7 over 3, so I'll leave it alone. So negative 7 over 3x. And then 15 over 3 is 5. Y'all, that's all you got to do. Take your time on your ED assignment, so that you're not having to do 50 million because you're getting signs wrong. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So take your time, get those 10 done, and be done with it. Look at number 5. What's the first thing I need to do? Remember, we're solving for y. Subtract the 4x. What I do to one side, I do to the other. It's a positive 3y, so I'm going to bring down a 3y. What's writing first? What are we writing first? The negative 4x. Make sure you bring that negative with it. Okay, don't forget it. And then it's a positive 12. Last step. Subtracting or dividing. Perfect. Dividing by 3. Great job recovering. Good job. The 3's cancel. We get y equals. Again, if you're not sure, let's see if negative 4/3 math enter reduces. It does not. So we keep it the same. And we write our x. And then we can try 12 over 3. And we get 4. Again, use your calculator as much as you want to right now. Last one, number 6. We're solving for y. How do we do that? It's positive x, right? How do we get rid of it? Subtract it. Don't let that 0 throw you off. It's just like having a 5 over there. Okay, don't let it throw you off. That leaves us with y equals, what is 0 minus x? Or what does the 0 do at all? Absolutely nothing. So we don't even need it. We just need the negative x. If you wanted to put negative x plus 0, that's fine. But realize if it's multiple choice, you don't need the 0, and it's just going to be negative x. Do I have anything to divide? Is there anything with y? No, we're done at that point. So if there's nothing with y, you don't have to do that. And that's it. Any questions? All right, when you're working on this assignment, Zoomers, don't go anywhere. When you're working on this assignment, and I don't know if I've opened it for you yet, I will get there in a minute. I had bus duty this morning, so I haven't done anything. All right, just being honest, I haven't done anything. When you get there, take your time. If you get, especially if you're sitting in here, if you get frustrated, let me know. Any Zoomers, Miss Walter and I stay on, the Zoom stays open pretty much the whole class period. So if you get off of here and you get stuck and you have a question, you can come right back in the Zoom. We'll let you in, ask your question, and you can go again, okay? Same thing when you guys are at home. We'll always be there. Got it? Everybody good? Zoomers, stay on.